Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It's Friday, the 31st of January, I think it is. Let me see. Yeah, January 31st, the last day of this one. It's Friday. Most awful, the 31st of January,
Terrible
I think it is. Let me see.
freaking
Month. I don't know if February is going to be better, but January was terrible. so, so here we go. How's everybody doing this morning? Tony, good to see you. Emily, good to see you. You should be in school. Uh, this is my daughter. Um, Hugo, good to see you. Rockin' Pam, rocking it in the morning. Uh, yeah, I just got done taking the daughter to school. So came back and I decided it was time to do a stream. Viper, the man about tech, is on fire. He's on fire as always. As always. So, what are we talking about today? I got to make a video today. I don't know. I have too many options. Too many options. Valiant, good to see you this morning. Yeah, too many options. I don't know what to make a video about. Anybody got any ideas? Anything that people want to see specifically? Let me know. If you got any questions? Let me know. I am open for questions. I'm open for just about anything, except, yeah, I don't know, Viper. It's like Apple's gonna release more Apple products. Uh oh, you mean like more than they normally would? Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. iPhone 12 is always a good topic. The iPhone 12 is looking pretty good, I would have to say, based on the renders and the leaks that I have seen. Um, Outlaw, tell me what other Apple products are Apple going to release this year? I mean, maybe we'll get the HomePod 2. Everybody's so excited about HomePod 2. No, there's not any excitement about HomePod 2. Maybe I should do a video on why the HomePod is failing. What do you think? What coffee do I drink? Ivan, good to see you this morning. Jeremy, good to see you. What coffee do I drink, Tony? I have an espresso machine, a virtual line espresso machine that right now I have the Intenso coffee, and it's good. It's very good. Although if I drink more than 2 cups, I usually start to like have panic attacks. Who is going to win the Super Bowl? Carlo, you're asking me the hard questions. I'm going to say that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl. Down in California, isn't it like 6 in the morning there, or 7 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning in California? Up early watching the live streams. Yeah. I think Kansas City is going to win the Super Bowl. Nobody's been able to stop their offense for more than one quarter throughout the playoffs. So, surf day. Oh man, don't do that to me. It's like crusty ice outside and cold, and it's just awful. Uh, the next big step forward in smartphone, hidden mirror, where you can see, which you can see, uses a telescope. That would be interesting. I don't know. I haven't heard about that technology. So, um, Apple plans to release several new products in the first half of 2020, including a wideband tags, high-end wireless headphones, 4.7-inch iPhone, yeah, refreshed iPad Pro models. Yeah, I don't know what the wideband tags are. Maybe you can give me a heads up on that. high-end wireless headphones, are we talking like over-the-ear headphones like this? Because we just got the AirPods Pro, um, which are high-end wireless headphones. Um, my daughter and her friend are in the chat. They're supposed to be in choir class right now, paying attention to class. So, I don't know exactly what to think about that as a parent. Um, Maine, thank you very much. Do I think the coronavirus and impact in China will affect Apple? I mean, that's I've seen several articles saying that that's the case. Um, I don't know. I guess like the area where the first outbreak occurred, that like nobody's allowed out of their house, and yeah, I would imagine yes. If they have to do more of the hanging out, um, if they have to do more than just like if they have to if everybody in large swaths of the country have to go into um, some kind of significant seclusion, then it will be interesting. Um, so DJI is taking an additional 10 days off after the Chinese New Year. Interesting. Elevation every weekend. Good morning to you from Iowa. Colorado is it's 8:30 ish in the morning there. Kino, good afternoon to you. Um, but yeah, that's what a lot of people seem to think that a lot of people seem to think that if this virus spreads as it looks like it's going to now, because there's been a huge explosion of cases, then the Chinese manufacturing will be affected, which will affect just about every smartphone company and tech company out there. So it'll be interesting to see um, because those deadlines are tight. Those factories work on many different machines, and and so yeah, we might see a ripple effect of delays. Is everything Apple Pro doing his own case? I hope he designs his own. Uh, that's all I can say. I you know, but I got good views on the later case video. So please steal someone else's intellectual property so I can make a video about it. Um, got the rest of the class off. That's it's just singing. Just why not sing? Um, I gotta look this up. Okay, I gotta look this up. Everything Apple Pro's case. Everything Apple Pro case. Oh, it's like already the first thing that comes up in Google. Um, here we go. Okay, I'll share my screen with you. Share screen. Where is the thing? Come on, you can do it. Why are there 4 origin, 5 origin, 6 origins open? It's not showing me this screen. That's disturbing. Anyway, it looks like it's got carbon fiber on the back. It's got some hand grips. Don't know exactly what that's all about. Let's see. Maybe I can tuck it into this window and it will show up. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That's not the one. Anyway, okay. I can't get my screen to share this window, But yeah, I mean, it looks like it's I don't know. It looks like a pretty bland case. Like I have a case. I don't have my iPhone down here. I have my own case. It's just a silicone case with Painfully Honest Tech on the back. If you're gonna make an Everything Apple Pro case, like shouldn't you put Everything Apple Pro on there? Or am I way off? Am I crazy? Will we see you at Vibe Live this evening? Maybe, maybe. Um, I got making a video today, plus doing this live stream. I might try and just take the evening off, but you never know. You never know. Michael McKinney in Toronto. What's my favorite mic for making videos these days? Right now, well, the mic that I'm using right now is the Rode Procaster. I always have to think twice because like I use the Rodecaster Pro with my Rodecaster Pro microphone or Procaster Rode microphone. See, it's very confusing. Main Drones, thank you for the the animated, and that little animation is making me feel lazy because I don't want to go outside, so I don't want to work out. Is there going to be a new iPhone released in March? That's what everybody is saying. It's going to be some kind of iPhone SE2. Podcastage, thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was fun last night. It was fun. I don't know if you guys didn't get a chance to see it. I was on a show called Nerd Wars last night where we talked about binging versus scheduled TV watching, which is better. And I was team binging. Jasmine Parker, good morning. Apple is going to increase RAM, but not to compete with the Samsung S20 Ultra. So Apple has 4 gigabytes of RAM in the iPhone right now. And the word is that the iPhone 12 will have 6. But RAM management in iOS and RAM management in Android are two very different things. Apple doesn't need as much RAM to perform on their devices as Android does. Android is a very it's a very non I guess optimized operating system. It takes up a lot of memory. It needs a lot of memory to work. The reason it's not very well optimized is because it has to work on so many different devices, whereas Apple has the it has to work on one device, really, the iPhone. So yeah, the Android needs more power, but I think we end up with the same result. Like 12 gigabytes of RAM in S20 Ultra will equal the performance of 6 gigabytes of RAM in the iPhone 12. Thankfully, Maine, the the chafing has subsided, mostly because since I got back from CES, I've just sat around and not done anything. Because I mean, I'm doing things, but it's cold here. There's snow on the ground. I did go out for a walk the other day, which is what I like to do to get my exercise in. But I can't. I don't know. I can't really. I can't. The snow. It's just so now it's depressing because it's like not new snow where everything's pretty. It's snow that's been here for a while, and 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 it's all crusty and gross. And yeah, this is the time of year where winter starts to be not as fun as it was in December. The S20 Ultra might have one of the best cameras ever. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do with that 108 megapixel camera. I mean, I can't actually see it being like significantly better than what we have in the current line of smartphones, but maybe I'll be surprised. I don't know. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see. I, I'm not like, here's the thing, it's great that we have advancements in camera technology all the time and all that kinda stuff, but, I mean, the camera itself is not really the bottleneck for taking good photos. It's the knowledge of the user, the ability of the user and their familiarity and with, camera technique that is really more the issue, because people have been getting amazing photos from smartphones for years and years and years at this point. Uh, okay, trying to keep up. 10 times optical zoom will be very interesting. I mean, that's a feature that could be worthwhile. I mean, and since we don't, I think we only have 2 times optical in most phones these days. So yeah, that could be very interesting. I wonder how many average users will dig into that feature. 120 hertz screen, it is going to be the thing for 2020. Yeah, it already is. People are losing their minds over it. Um, I just don't think it's that big a deal. I just don't think it's that big a deal. It's gonna sell phones though, because people will be like, "Oh, that's cool." Um, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Technically, T, that's what I'm saying, brother. It's are they gonna out? Is it gonna significantly outperform the iPhone 11 or the previous Samsung phones or the Pixel? We don't know. I'm sure there will be plenty of camera comparisons on the internet to help us figure it out. But I don't know that it's going to be just a different way of processing pictures. So you know, um, elevation every weekend. Yeah, I agree. I mean, but I have to be honest. Like, I don't notice the 120 hertz on the iPad Pro. I'm sure if I took like my iPad Ghetto, and put it next to the iPad Pro and like went back and forth, I'm sure that I would be able to see a difference, but I don't know if that difference is like super important or noticeable, especially as you say on a smaller screen. I mean, I've had the Razer phone, which had 120 hertz, um, and it was cool, but it wasn't like a game changing feature. I've had the OnePlus phone that had 90 hertz screen, and that didn't really make any difference. I tried out the Pixel 4 with the 90 hertz screen, and I don't know that it ever actually got there because you had to be at a certain brightness to. I don't know if I ever got to that brightness. So I never really noticed the 120 hertz. If I looked for it, if I compared it to another phone, maybe. But um what what I think convinces a lot of people that there's a big difference in the smartphone or in the 120 hertz versus 60 hertz is you see a lot of a lot of comparisons where they're filming themselves moving the two screens, but the way the camera is picking up the 60 hertz screen, it depends on what frame rate people are using on their camera. I mean, if they're using 24 frames, then it's going to look weird. If they're using 60, it should look all right. But I think that a lot of people are seeing the difference on camera, and that difference is accentuated um by the fact that the camera is making the thing look all jaggedy. So I'm not a big fan of 120 hertz in terms of like functionality for the phone. It's just something to market. Um, AJ, let me go back and could have a magnetic keyboard that could be replaced for a better one. Schematic, yeah, yeah. I mean, I made a video about that new MacBook design that the schematics were released for, that thing looks silly. I just don't necessarily I just don't necessarily see the functionality that that like first off, how are people going to get their laptop into the back of their computer to slide it in, because most people I would guess that most people have their computers, like their computer desk, up against a wall. Not everybody has enough room to like have a desk like sitting on the middle of the room. Um, Tech Bear, are you asking first person shooters for 120 hertz screens? That'll make I mean, it will make a difference for that kind of gaming. I don't know if it's the kind of difference that you would notice like on a 27-inch screen or whatever. Um, but I'm sure it will make a difference. I'm sure that would be an application where 120 hertz would matter. I guess that's why and Razer put 120 hertz on their phone like from the get go. But I've never seen a complete I've never seen a complete comparison between gaming on 120 hertz screen and gaming on 60 hertz. 60 to 144 is pretty amazing. But even so, like even so, I mean, this is 144 hertz screen that I'm using right here, and because I don't have the like a 60 hertz screen right beside it, I can't really see the difference, and I'm sure it's noticeable. But when when you when you just see that, it's hard to tell the difference, really, or at least it is for me. Uh, yeah, 120 hertz on a 55-inch OLED screen. It could make it. OLED screens do like frame rates and refresh rates and all that kind of stuff slightly differently than typical LED TVs. Excuse me. And and so if you're buying an OLED, like if you are going to buy an OLED now, like there'll be new TVs from LG and all the other ones soon. But if you're buying an OLED now, like I recently got an LG 65-inch C9. That thing has G-Sync compatibility, which is cool. The new Samsung TVs, the Q line, the QLED line, um, all have FreeSync, I believe, or at least most of those models. Tech Love and Mom, excuse me, jeez, everything's repeating on me this morning. Tech Love and Mama, good to see you. Um, yeah, some of the Honor and Xiaomi phones under 200 bucks. Like I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do it. I mean, maybe it's quantity, maybe I mean, I'm sure the parts are different, so there's going to be some cost saving there. Um, yeah, Gimp Daddy, I tried the Q80. Um, I had a LG 65-inch B9 OLED or B7 OLED, so it was a couple of years old. Um, and I tried the QLED and I liked it, but my room where I watch TV is typically pretty dark, and that TV was like watching the sun. It just was so bright, and the colors were almost amplified too much. And maybe it's that I've been used to the OLED look for so long that it would have taken me some time to adjust. But I ended up I got the Q80 because it was open box for like 1,400 bucks for a 65 inch, which is a really good price for that TV. Um, but ultimately, I ended up taking it back and getting the C9 OLED from LG. Um, and I've been very happy. I mean, the thing that I like about again, like OLED is incredible, and you don't when that's what you look at every time you sit down to watch TV. Uh, you kind of don't. You get to the point where you don't notice anymore, and and then when you watch like a not so great TV, you notice. But one thing that I want to do, and I've been talking to the people at TCL. I want to compare the mini LED TV that they have with the OLED that I have. Um, and I saw in their booth at CES they had an OLED TV and their mini LED TV side by side. And I can say that in some cases the mini LED looked better than OLED, but it was like 50, it was like half and half. The OLED looked better than the mini LED on some things, and then like if you had anything with crazy color, the mini LED looked really great. Um, and so yeah, it's I don't know. I want to try them both together so I can really see the difference. Um, Gimp Daddy, I hear you on the burn in, but in my experience, having an OLED TV for a couple of years, like I really didn't see any burn in. Um, and yeah, I watch a lot of sports as well. I mean, I don't watch sports like all day, every day, but I would say that I would say that the risk is not as great as it was maybe a couple of years ago, or back when OLED was first uh, a brand new technology. Um, yeah, TCL is making the 6 series was TCL's like top of the line um, TV until they came out with the 8 series, which is the mini LED. And yes, mini LED doesn't have a burn-in problem. Um, I'm just curious to know like which which looks more better and why and how. Um, I've found that OLED can be really good with dark. That's where to me that's kind of where OLED shines. Um, I think that like if you watched the Battle of Winterfell episode of Game of Thrones, and you know how everybody was complaining like, "Oh, I can't see anything." On the OLED TV, I could see everything fine. Um, so I think it does better than most TVs, but I mean, if it's calibrated wrong, there's so many variables that go into it. I mean, I don't do any crazy calibration, although I should since I spent that much money on a TV. But yeah, I uh, I I'm a big fan of OLED. Let's say, and I really like LG's operating system that they have on there. Somebody asked a question I wanted. Elevation Weekend. Are you going to review the PS5 and Xbox Series X? Yeah, well, yeah, I will. PS4 is my most used gaming setup. I want to do more gaming stuff on the channel. Um, I used to review a lot of gaming headsets, and um that's really what I started the channel out on and where I started to get views. And I'd like to get back to more gaming stuff. I As somebody said, like I don't think that smartphones are going to be um I don't think that smartphones are going to be as exciting this year. Like one of the videos that I was thinking about making today is that, 2020 is the year of the cheaper smartphone. Cuz like the LG S20 Ultra is going to be $1,300. Um which is crazy. That's a crazy amount of money. And I keep thinking every year that the prices will go down, but they do not. Yeah, I could take the PewDiePie space in gaming. Yeah, that would be great. I, but I don't know that I would translate with PewDiePie's audience. Yeah, Hugo, you're right. I mean, smartphones have been big, and they have driven the channel for quite a while now. But I do think, as you say, that the interest in smartphones in terms of like viewership and excitement and stuff like that, I don't think it's going to be as intense. Um, the S20 Ultra is an interesting looking phone. Is it going to be better than the Note 10 or the S10? Yes, but better enough. I don't know. I don't know. So I just don't know that Samsung seems to be of the mind of like, we're going to release a lot of phones, and by the time it's all said and done, we will have sold a lot. But I mean, they've got the Note 10 Lite, the S10 Lite. The Note 10 Lite has a headphone jack for some reason. Um, don't tease me, Samsung. I know that that headphone jack will not be a good quality headphone jack, but still. Um, so yeah, I mean, the $1,300 for the S20, and then you're right. Like several months later, they come out with the Note line, the Note 20, which is going to basically look exactly like the S20 Ultra, have basically the same specs plus the S Pen, maybe an improved camera. You never know. So yeah, wait 2 months and get it for $800. The problem is like for me, like if I were gonna get it for personal use and it was gonna be my phone for a couple of years, I would certainly do that. But for me, like I have to cover these phones when they come out, so I have to buy them at full retail price because Samsung's not gonna give me a phone. And Google didn't give me a phone this year. Like Apple never gives anybody phones unless you're like super grand wizard, giant YouTube person. So pretty much like all the smartphones that I review, I have to buy outright. Now I may return some of them because I'm not made of money, but still, like having $1,300 to plop down for the S20 Ultra is it's yeah, it's a lot of money. Yeah, review them in the store. That I would love to do that. I know that like I asked about filming in Best Buy, and you have to like send a request to their corporate office and blah blah blah. So it's a lot of it's usually with those places it's difficult. Yeah, change the description of your channel like tech reviews 2 months later. If you are this late, I'm the guy who's got you covered. I can tell you what to buy after it's been out for a while. Yeah, that would be good. Um uh Josa, yeah, I think that there's not really that much different about um smartphones from one year to the next. Uh just like for the last few years, really. Um it's really kind of it's become this like it's more marketing than anything else. Like the boom of smartphones has ended. There's no like great advancements year to year. I mean, as cool as 120 hertz might be on a smartphone, that is not like a game-changing advancement in smartphone technology. And I don't think anybody should buy a phone because it has a 120 hertz screen. I you know I maybe that's the video I need to make today about 120 hertz screens, or maybe I need to make the cheap smartphones or the better smartphones this year. Um, because yeah, I want to talk about that. The LG, back to the daily driver right now. I'm selling my iPhone, not because I don't like it, but just because I know I'm going to have to buy other phones here in the near future, and there'll be another iPhone. Maybe I'll get an iPhone 11 I don't know. Would you guys be interested in an iPhone 11 review? Because I never got one to review in the first place. I just did the iPhone 11 Pro. Um, so yeah, main reason I upgrade every year is for a couple of bucks a month. I can get the latest greatest. Yeah, that's what they want you to do. Um, the whole smartphone game is predicated on people buying phones more often than they should, more often than necessary, I guess. And and so they find creative ways to get people to do that. And I guess the end result, as you say, is that you get the newer phone for just a little bit more out of your pocket every month. Um, it would be cool to see somebody come out with a smartphone and say this can be your smartphone for the next like 4 years. That would be a very interesting. That would be a very interesting take. Like we're selling you a smartphone that'll be your phone for 4 years. So you're spending your money wisely. But I don't know. I mean, basically, smartphones have become like, you're renting a smartphone. You're renting it, and the next year you rent the new one. And I guess there's nothing wrong with that per se. Um, it's just that I really think that the market is ready to sort of bust. Um, I thought it would I thought it would go more quickly once phones got over $1,000, but for some reason the people are still paying it, and I don't know. Well, yeah, the radio antenna every couple of years, yeah, smartphone tech is going to move forward, but I mean, I could get an iPhone 6S, which I might do, and I'm pretty sure it would still make decent calls. I've got this 5G V50. I don't have any. I don't have 5G service yet. Um, so it's like I have to hold on. If I want 5G, I have to hold on um, to this thing for a while. I also like dropped it and the screen cracked, so nobody's gonna want to buy it. I mean, LG phones are worth like 1/3 of their retail cost a month after they come out. So, but I do still love this phone. I do still love this phone. Um, there are certain things I don't love about Android, but I do love this phone. Yeah, maybe wait for the new SE. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Um, when 5G becomes for real, I don't think it's going to be a scam. I think 5G has the potential to completely change the game um, on how we look at data. I think that 5G is going to become the thing where like you won't have to have an internet service provider because you can have a 5G modem in your house, and you like everything, like everything that's smart everywhere in the world will be able to do stuff so much faster. Um, I don't. I'm not surprised that T-Mobile is super slow. The technology is like not fully developed. It's not fully implemented right now, and it's T-Mobile. So, uh, now I know that right now 5G is something that like there's one building in New York City, or at least a while back there was one building in New York City where you could go and use 5G inside that building. And Chicago has it on street corners in certain places, but where there aren't 5G towers, it's not very good. Um, and I but when it becomes for real, which probably won't be widespread for another couple of years, when it becomes for real, I think 5G has the potential to change everything. Like if they can get it up to the raw speed that is possible with 5G, it could make a huge difference, not just in like what your how fast you download stuff on your phone, but like how fast your smart home devices, I mean, medical technology, all kinds of things could be completely revolutionized by that level of connectivity. Um, so that I think the potential for 5G, like if there's gonna be another boom in smartphones, it's gonna be when 5G matures and everybody needs to move to a 5G phone. But I don't see that happening in the next year or two. I see it happening, 2 years from now or whatever. Um, BMAC is going to 5G in home and dropping the ISP. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's I'm excited for the day. Yeah, out here in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's not nowhere, but but when it comes to new tech coming to your area, Iowa City is not like the first stop. I can't wait to have access to that. I mean, I just went up to gigabit internet this year. This year is just the first, well, 2019 um was the first year that I could get gigabit internet. And so I now have gigabit internet. I don't know how often I get anywhere close to gigabit speeds, but anything over 500, still pretty good. Alexandra, Alexandre, I hope I pronounce it correctly. Good morning to you from Iowa. How are things in Brazil? Yeah, that retethered. That's what I'm thinking. Like, it might be cool to like do an iPhone 6s Plus in 2020 review. Um, and and that's kind of like that's part of my thinking. I th- I think that I want to do more videos this year about what are your options for smartphones instead of like the $1,300 SG Ultra or the $1,400 Z Flip, which I think is a stupid phone. Um, Retro Tech reviews would, yeah, I would love to do that. I would love to do that. Good morning to you, Richie. Richie. I don't know. I feel like an idiot when I try and pronounce people's names. Sleeting in North Carolina. It's just cold here with all kinds of crusty and nasty snow. So if I were to do retro tech reviews, what would you guys? So I started the OK Boomer series because I wanted to talk about retro tech. I mean, I think Marquez did his retro tech show, and it's cool. But I actually was an adult or a teenager when a lot of the stuff that he's talking about um was out, and he was like a toddler. So so I think it'd be interesting to have somebody talk about that from that point of view, but I'd just be curious to know what people would want to see. um Yeah, see, the majority of the crowd does all flagships, and the cheaper options are amazing. People don't even know about it. Yes, you're right. I mean, when there are enough flagships that like any one channel can't really cover them all. But I do think that this year there are going to be better options than ever before in the low cost, like $500 or so area. And like if the iPhone SE2 or iPhone 9 or whatever they call it, if that is $500, that's going to be the best selling iPhone of the year, without a doubt. Um, People always buy the cheaper iPhone, and if that's cheaper than the iPhone 11, then they're going to buy that. And if it's cheaper than the iPhone 12, they're going to keep buying it. I mean, if you have something that looks like an iPhone 8 but has the current technology in it, um, then why would you why would you buy something twice the price? Uh, Yeah, Tech Bear, you might be right. There might be there might be some real interest in old tech. It's a lot of investment. Like I don't actually own any of the stuff that I owned when I was a kid. My first gaming console was an Atari 2600, but I'd have to like order one off of eBay or something. Old ThinkPads and a 2000 iPhone 8 Plus. That's not too old. 2009 iMac. Um, yeah, that's the incredible thing is iPhones and iMacs and MacBooks will will last forever. Um, it's it's really amazing. Like up until last year, we had a 2010 i3 uh, iMac that we used to run the podcast that I ran at my old job, and it worked great. I mean, we upgraded it to an SSD at a certain point, and that helped it get faster and everything like that. But you know, I had a 2015 MacBook Pro that I used for work there, and I have newer MacBooks to use here at home, and the newer MacBooks were faster, yeah, but I never felt like I was suffering in using the older one, and the older one didn't even have a dedicated GPU. So so that's one thing about Apple products. They retain their value, they last for a long time, and that's like that used to be one of the best reasons to buy an iMac or a MacBook or any kind of Mac computer is that you can use it forever. There are still people who run recording studios and they're using like 2008 Mac Pros because they don't want to change. I mean, they're still running like iOS 9 or something, but it doesn't matter if it works for them. I it's hard for me too, like, because I like to get the new stuff. Like I like to know what the new thing does and how it feels and if it's faster. But I'm in the minority. I mean, anybody who watches or talks about tech for an extended period of time on a weekly, almost daily basis is not the target market. Like I had students who were using um I had students that were using the old MacBook Airs, and if you're a student and you don't have huge computing needs, you're using Google Docs or whatever, browsing the web, that kind of stuff. You don't need anything more than like a 2015 MacBook Air. So, still got the 2600, it's still got the Commodore 64 and the Amiga 500. That's impressive. That's impressive. I never had the Commodore, but I had a friend who had the Commodore, and I always thought like, oh man, he's got like it's almost like a real computer, But I hung out with the with 2600 because money, man. Tech Bear, thanks for being here. Have a good day yourself, my friend. Good to see you. Um, the anti Neil Young. Yes, when it comes to Neil Young and modern technology, I am the anti Neil Young. Neil Young is clueless when it comes to modern technology and its availability and the possibilities for it when it comes to like modern recording technology. I agree with Neil Young that tape and like analog gear sounds fantastic, um, but not that it should be the only way. Uh, Setien, I mean, I think it's fine to use the SE in 2020. It's got a headphone jack. As long as you have enough storage and it's not bogging down. I mean, that's the same thing that I'm thinking about in terms of getting like an iPhone 6S Plus. And my guess is that the 6S Plus will perform almost as well as as the current iPhones. Won't be as slick and pretty, but yeah. When will we see a 9-inch smartphone? It's called the iPad Mini. I don't think that's even 9 inches, but you can make phone calls on it. 35 gigabytes of storage free, then you're in good shape. Then you're in good shape. You don't have anything to worry about. Better camera. Yeah, you're probably right. But I bet that I could take some pretty ballin' pictures with a SE or a 6S. Like the cameras, one of the things that makes art interesting is that it's the ability of the user, the artist, to take the tools that they have and the limitations that those tools have, and a lot of times you end up using those limitations as boundaries that you have to work around, and it makes the art better. Like, having a better camera doesn't make you a better photographer. Having a $1,000 microphone doesn't make you a better singer. Having a $3,000 guitar doesn't make you a better, well, $3,000 guitars will at least like be more playable. So maybe it makes you somewhat a better guitar player, but you know what I'm saying. Yes, yeah, I was talking about this on the podcast on Tuesday. Neil Young had the Pono player that he at first he was like, I'm going to make digital music sound good for the first time ever, and came out with the Pono player and got a bunch of old rock and roll stars to like sit in a car and listen to the format that he had. And they all said, "Oh, it sounds great." It's like, dude, your ears are 70 years old. Like, I don't know how much I can trust that. But the Pono player was a huge failure. And now Neil Young has a book that he co-wrote with somebody about how digital music sucks. But he clearly doesn't understand how digital recording works. So, you know, Gimp Daddy, it's you might be right. If you're not a photographer, a better camera might equal better pictures. But I think that the majority of people open up their camera app, they probably don't even like touch to focus, and then they take a picture, and it's fine. But is it well composed? Is it like a work of art? I don't know. And so, like, the improvements of the camera over the years, like, yeah, when you have 10 times optical zoom instead of 2, that's cool. But who will use that? I'd be interested to know the usage numbers on who ends up using like the 10 times optical zoom on the Samsung Galaxy Ultra. That would be very interesting to me. Elevation every weekend. Yeah, cheap drum kit will sound just fine. As long as you are a player that knows how to play, and the drums aren't like just completely, torn, like worn out, and they're tuned well and that kind of thing, then yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good things to say about expensive gear and expensive instruments and all that kind of stuff, but I think that everybody who wants to be a recording engineer or wants to be a songwriter / recording artist should have to make at least one record with minimal gear, and learn to work around the stuff that entails. You got a friend still using the Galaxy S3? Well, that's impressive. That's impressive, because the S3 is like, with Android phones, it's not quite the same as iPhones. iPhones have tended to have a longer shelf life. Apple products in general have a longer shelf life, whereas most Android phones stop getting updates after 2 years, and that basically makes them useless. Am I going to do a live stream of? Is that MWC on the 24th of February? I might do something. The S3 is a slug. Yeah, if I recall, it did kind of look like a slug, but yeah. Good morning, Matt. How are you? So the guy using the S4. Yeah, I'm reading back here. Game Daddy, you might be right. Neil Young might not understand how much of anything works these days, which is totally fine. Like, if he has the most incredible analog gear, guitars, amps, I'm sure his recording studio has all of the bells and whistles that an analog studio can have, and you can make really, really great records that way. I don't know why Neil Young can't just like do that and stay in his own lane and shut up. Like, just make your records, dude. Why are you worried about everybody else? Here's a guy who, like, the majority of his career, one of the popular mediums for buying music was the cassette, and the cassette sounded like garbage. So much worse than lossy media now. So he's just talking out his ass. The S7, I can see somebody using the S7. Although it's not my favorite phone. My wife had a S7 Edge, and that phone, after a while, was like completely unusable. It was so laggy. Like, I picked up her phone once just to look something up, and it was like just not doing anything. It would take seconds to open this or that or the other thing, and I'm like, how can you live with this? And she's like, I don't know. And so I got her a new phone. I got her a Pixel 2 XL, and once I wiped the S7 and put it back to the factory, then it was back to being snappy and good. But yeah, I mean, the stories of Samsung lag and all that kind of stuff, those stories were real. It was, yeah, just it wasn't good for a long time. And like, I have noticed recently that this V50 is getting kind of laggy, which disturbs me, because I mean, it just shouldn't be that way. So Piscean says Apple updates iOS apps through software once a year when the RAM and battery can support the next iOS update. Yeah. But I mean, if I understand what you're saying, the thing about Apple is, you can have a 5-year-old iPhone that still has the current version of iOS on it. And I don't know that there are any 5-year-old Android phones that are still getting OS updates to the newer versions of Android. Yeah, Game Daddy, I think I get you. I mean, my PC right here has been acting all kinds of weird as well. Like, I don't know, I was trying to use Photoshop the other day and everything was slow, and it's just very annoying. And I don't want to have to do like the full refresh of the computer because it hasn't even been running for a year, and I don't want to have to like reload all my apps. So AS uses a S9. Android is needlessly complicated. Well, that's some of Android, and that's some of Samsung. Samsung has always like layered way too much stuff on top of Android itself. Um, yeah, the iPhone 3G, your 3G and 5 still work? Yeah. No updates, of course. But what version of iOS are they running? Apps are the most important part of Android. That's one thing. Like I understand what you're saying. Um, the one the one place where Android is deficient compared to iOS is in the quality of the apps. I don't know if it's because a lot of app developers develop for iOS first and then port it over to Android or what, but like the experience that you have, especially on some of the bigger pay like paid for apps, the experience is just better. Like and even like the Twitter app and things like that, the Instagram app, the experience is better on iOS than it is on Android, which I discovered as I switched back to this phone. Um, Pure Android. Well, Samsung they used to make those Google Play editions, which was basically just pure Android on a Samsung device. Um, they stopped doing that. Now Google has Pixel, and they don't do that kind of stuff anymore. But I would love to have a Samsung Note 10 that just ran stock Android. That would be cool. Um, so techie guy says I had to buy the Note 10 because of Dex. It's the only phone that lets me use mobile apps on my Windows PC. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, Dex is very impressive. Dex is very impressive, and I mean it's an argument to me for having a Note 10 or an S10 or something like that. But but I don't know, like for my own personal use, I don't know how much I would use Dex instead of my PC or um instead of my MacBook or something like that. So uh you use Capture One Pro, recently started using Pixelmator Pro instead of Photoshop, $39. Yeah, there are a lot of good Photoshop options out there. I mean, a lot of people love GIMP, and GIMP is free, and it's very full featured. I've been using Adobe apps for since the 90s. So I just like I just know how to use them. And so I tried GIMP some, and it just I couldn't figure out how to do very basic things, and I got frustrated, and I was like, nah. I get you, techie guy. Yeah. Um, and I guess like the Sprint version of the V50 now has some kind of desktop mode as well. I haven't gotten that update on the Verizon version, and according to Max Weinbach, it's not coming for a few months, which yeah. Um 5-year support for iOS, 5 years only, nothing after that. Android still gets app updates. Okay. I 5 years is a long time. To get the most current operating system on your phone. I think that's a better value than Android. Uh, but it's debatable. There are ways that you can look at it. I get you. I get you. Franklin, I think Franklin, I mean, you've got a point. The days of Samsung just like throwing everything in but the kitchen sink into their operating system, like being able to scroll with your eyes and stuff, those days have kind of gone past. One UI is so much better than TouchWiz was. It's getting better every year. So yeah, I think that I think I agree with you that sometimes pure Android can be boring. However, like having a more simplistic version of Android is probably beneficial to some people or enjoyable to some people. Whereas, I do agree that Android can be overly complicated. Like there are too many ways to do the same thing sometimes. Will Apple ever create a Dex-like app? Um, I think more than likely you'll start to see iOS and macOS have more compatibility as opposed to like a desktop, like a macOS port to a desktop. I think that we'll see more of that. Like Photoshop has just been ported over to iOS, I guess, like a full version. And so I think that Apple is resisting bringing them both together because the way that Apple's model is set up, they have all of the devices work together at least to a certain extent, with AirDrop and sharing things and all that kind of stuff. But they've got their ecosystem set up so that it's like, well, we've got the phones, and then we've got the iPads, and then we got the laptops, and then we've got the iMacs, and all of that stuff, sits in its own space in the product line. So I think that one thing that Apple doesn't want to do is sell fewer devices, which ultimately they would. Like if the iPad Pro really could replace a MacBook Pro, everybody would buy an iPad Pro, and not spend $3,000 on a MacBook Pro. So I don't know. I don't know exactly how they're going to do it. I mean, I think at a certain point they're going to have to bring the two closer together, and I don't know exactly how that's going to look, but eventually it'll have to happen. I mean, it's getting closer and closer and closer all the time. Can I do a setting on developer options? That might be interesting. Yeah. I mean, I know that when you go into developer options and then you turn off the animations or turn down the animations, it does look faster. Now, techie guy, I get it. Like, I mean, I have my PC. I have a 2006 Mac Pro here, but it's suffering some malfunctions right now. But I also have my MacBook Pro, and I kind of miss my iMac, and I kind of wish that I had at least. I have the iMac, or I have the MacBook Pro up in my other studio area, and I wish that I could just have one of those Mac Minis to plug into this. And I mean, the good thing about it is, I mean, they do work well together. So it's much more difficult to get stuff from an Android phone onto any other device than it is with Apple and AirDrop. AirDrop is a game changer. Now, Android is supposed to be developing some kind of, or there's supposed to be some kind of new AirDrop-like feature, but I haven't seen it yet. An AirDrop for if you're a creative and you do stuff on your mobile devices and then need to get them over to your computer, I mean, that's just game changing. Like, I take a lot of photos for my channel and do a lot of B-roll video for my channel on my iPhone, because I know if I'm editing on my MacBook, I can just get it over there in a few seconds. Well, you can always run Windows. You can always run Windows through Boot Camp. I understand what you're saying, though. You could also Hackintosh and dual boot if you wanted to do that. I've been tempted to do that, but I've never had good luck building a dual boot PC, and I've never had great luck with putting together a Hackintosh. So I usually just give up before. No iMessage with Boot Camp. Okay, fair. Yeah, I got you. Bob, I'd be really interested. I just don't have very much experience in Linux, um, other than the fact that it's like the core basis for Mac OS. But yeah, I don't have a ton of experience with it. Maybe I'll look into it. Yeah. Tech loving mama brings the Tony reference into the chat. And now it's all there. You can drag and drop files. You're right. It's not as easy on it's not very easy on a Mac. There are a few extra steps that you have to go through. Once you get those steps set up, then it's easier. But yeah, you can use USB mode to bring everything over. And that's true. AirDrop is just so, you open up sharing and then the computer shows up and you press the button and it's just goes over there very quickly. So I think it's a more elegant way to solve that problem than plugging in, but they both work. So I see what you're saying. Let's see. I just want to back up. So the question still remains: what video would you guys like to see today? Like, you want to see something on the iPhone 12? You want to see something on cheap phones? Do you want to see something on whatever? Snazzy Labs made a Linux video yesterday. I'll have to check that out. Can I get a watch strap for my 22-inch TV? Well, you probably could. You could solve that problem in a few ways. You could you could maybe use bungee cords. But a 22-inch TV would be big. That would be very large. Yeah, I remember Tony. Surface Duo video. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I was kind of saving covering the Surface Duo until closer to when they came out. I'm just really interested to see what that looks like, and I don't feel like there's enough. I don't feel like I don't feel like I have enough info about it yet. What's on my iPhone? I've never done a video like that. And I've just I'm kind of curious as to whether or not it would do well on the channel. Like the stuff that's been doing well on the channel, like the AirPods videos have been doing well on the channel. In January, nothing did well on the channel. So it might be time. Yeah, it might be worth trying it out. I mean, if you're out there in the chat, tell me what you think about what's on my iPhone. Best Android phones going up against the iPhone 9. Yeah, that would be good too. Am I supportive of right to repair like Louis Rossmann? I'm sensitive to the right to repair argument, and I get it. However, like, I don't know. I think Louis Rossmann's a crazy person. So it isn't healthy to be that upset about something for so long. But he's making a living at it, I guess. So more power to him. Yeah, I don't know if I have apps that not many people have. Maybe it's time to do a HomePod update. Like, Can't we just admit that the HomePod has failed? What apps can't you live without? That would be a good one. Massimo, good morning to you. Best Android in the 450 price bracket? Yeah. Louis Rossmann is the GOAT? I don't know about that, man. I can't watch him. I can't watch him. Maybe people feel like that about me, but I can't watch Louis Rossmann. I don't know. There's just something that makes me feel very anxious when I watch him. I lived in New York for 11 years. I've known people who are intense in the way that Louis Rossmann is intense. I moved out of New York for a reason, and that was probably one of them. One of the reasons. So I guess now lawmakers are trying to silence him or something. I saw some kind of thumbnail of a video earlier. I don't know. What would I want to see from a wireless headset that would make me believe in wireless headphones? I would want to see the ability to have bandwidth over 750 megahertz. So that you could listen to lossless audio on wireless headphones. Right now, wireless headphones can't get to the fidelity level of a FLAC or Tidal lossless or any of those things. And so once the technology is as capable as wireless or wired headphones, that's when I'll say, okay, I feel good. You can connect a cable to them, and I think that gets better quality. I haven't really tried it. But the thing is, like, if I'm using a set of wireless headphones, like, I don't want to plug them in. I don't want to plug them in. I want I want them to be the best that they can be for the purpose that they're made. Sea Lions, man, it's okay. I'm still here, at least for a few more minutes. iPad Mini 2 is still a solid device. I will agree with you there. Do any doctor services in the U.S. use FaceTime to see patients without them going to the surgery? I know that there are like psychologists and psychiatrists who will do online sessions. There are some, and I only know this because I worked at a medical school for 10 years. There are some like outreach and consulting things that happen over the internet, like the college of medicine here in Iowa. They've developed a lot of research and techniques and stuff. One of the pioneers of treating clubfoot was based in the University of Iowa Hospital, and so students do training and support for other a lot of times lesser developed countries over the internet. So I know that kind of stuff happens. I don't know how many doctors are providing like office visits. I haven't had too much coffee yet, although I'm out. Now I'm out. But yeah, I don't know that there's as much of that kind of thing going on. Although I think with 5G, it could be more possible. There are IEMs with detachable cables. There are also, so if you're familiar with the Shure 215 IEMs, at CES I saw that they made wireless cables so that you can plug them in instead of like the wire and use them as wireless headphones, which to me uh, which to me is silly. But if you have 215s, then you'll now be able to use them wirelessly with these new things that are coming out from Shure. Take over Lou's old shtick and do audio gear, camera mounts. So yeah, I want to do more audio stuff. I mean, I've got the Rodecaster here. I've got a brand new mixer here. I've got, these microphones that Rode sent. I've got a lot of stuff that I could cover. It's just like, I guess there's no reason not to try stuff. I mean, in YouTube, they always say you got to niche down. You got to stay focused on the things that you do well, or that do well for you. Which at this point, like after a month of nothing doing well, I don't know what does well, but yeah, I'd love to cover more of that stuff. So that's a good explanation. Thoughts on GarageBand as a musician? I love GarageBand. I love the fact that GarageBand exists. I love the fact that it comes on every Macintosh for free. I love that. I was a Logic audio user before Apple bought the company. So when Apple bought Logic and used Logic as the basis for GarageBand, I was like, yeah, that's great. I mean, it works. If you are somebody who knows recording software already, then GarageBand is kind of counterintuitive because the workflow doesn't go the same way. But what I have used it for is it's really great for just playing around and like using loops and throwing things together to just create like, weird little loopy, like not necessarily dance song, but just cool loop based stuff. GarageBand makes that very easy. Do a Bendgate for the upcoming MacBook Pros. That's an expensive video to make. Yes, Epti, I can niche down or even sub niche, but to what? I've been doing like, the smartphone thing had been carrying the channel for a while, and I don't think the interest level is there for smartphones as much as it was. And frankly, I'm not as interested in smartphones as I was a couple of years ago. So it's hard to know. It's hard to know like where to go from there. I know that I have a lot of knowledge in the audio space, and I could do a lot of different things with audio that would be helpful. I'm curious as to know like whether or not people would watch that in any significant numbers, because unfortunately I have to think about the numbers, and I have to find something that works. The smartphone market is getting extremely, I like stagny. I'll go with that. Music channel, I have not been consistent on the music channel, unfortunately. And I want to be. Like, I put up a video on the music channel like a month ago. I want to do at least one a week. I haven't been able to do it. I still feel like I'm getting my workflow figured out. Like I'm pretty much like set on 3 videos a week plus these live streams, which also I want to mention that. So I've become a Twitch affiliate, and in becoming a Twitch affiliate, I found out that I can't dual stream on Twitch and YouTube at the same time. I may be moving some of these live streams over to Twitch, just because the setup is more conducive to live streaming, and I'm just curious as to like how that will work instead of like the YouTube live streaming service. So just an FYI for you guys to think about. but I might be moving this stream and maybe eventually even the podcast over to Twitch, and then I can always port it over to YouTube after that. You can always get Twitch. Just have to sign up for an account. It's easy. Costs you nothing. Yeah, Septine, you might be right. Massimo, what is your question about smartphones? I am using affiliate links. Sometimes affiliate links, like right now, the affiliate stuff that's doing the best for me is Secret Lab, the folks who made this chair. I made a video about this chair when they sent it to me. I really love this chair. It is probably well, it's the best gaming headset or best gaming chair that I've used to date, and I've had a bunch of them, but this feels like a real chair, whereas a lot of those don't. So Massimo is switching out of the big smartphones. Is the SE10 the only option for top performance in a small format? That's a good question. I mean, the SE10 is a good option, and I know that a lot of other sort of more budget phones are come in that smaller form factor. I mean, I don't know how you feel about an iPhone, but the iPhone 9 or SE2 or whatever they're going to call it is going to be out in March. So I mean, if you're up for an iPhone, that might be good. The Pixel 3a and 3a XL are both good phones, but there's going to be a Pixel 4 soon, a Pixel 4a and 4a XL soon. So yeah, so I would say those Pixel phones are a great value for like how cheap they are. So I think there's still some options. The Pixel 3a is a very small phone. Does YouTube pay ad revenue if you skip after 5 seconds? If you mean if you skip the ad? Yes, you still get paid for that. There are many different tiers of advertising, and skippable ads are one, non-skippable ads are another. So yeah, you still get paid. And you still get paid if people have YouTube Premium or whatever it's called, and you get views. So why doesn't Samsung make a 4-inch phone? Well, I think at this point, because everybody wants 6-inch phones. But, well, not everybody, but those are the most popular phones right now. So here we are at an hour and a half. I'll take last questions, and then I'm going to jump out so I can start on my video for today. Yeah, I do like Johnny Winter. I'm not a big like fan. I didn't collect his records or anything like that, but I do like Johnny Winter. And yes, Ted Nugent is many things: overrated, insane. Yeah, he's just a guitar player. I don't know why everybody cares so much. I did keep the AirPods Pro. They're right here. Right here. I still have to get a new case, though, because my dog chewed the case up and it doesn't function properly. Top 3 Android phones for music: LG V50, LG G8. I'm trying to think of any other Android phones that actually have a headphone jack that is decent. I would say, the Note 9 or the S10s, those headphone jacks are pretty decent. So yeah, but I think LG has everybody else beat in audio quality by a huge margin. And the G8 has the same DAC and amplifier and everything like that as the V series phones now. So if you want a smaller phone or you want a cheaper phone, the G8 is a good option. What's on my iPhone? Oh man, I don't know. Just normal stuff. I don't I don't do anything exciting with my phone. I don't do anything exciting. Oh, so I'm glad you're re-energized, Massimo. I have 3 dogs. I have a mini Aussie that is a few years old. I have sort of a mixed breed who's a little bit younger, and then I have a 6 months old uh, Newfoundland poodle mix, and he's very interesting. I don't have pictures like right here on my phone or on my computer, but I maybe I'll post some on Twitter or on the YouTube channel uh, community page. But yeah, the Newfoundland poodle mix is he's huge. Like I didn't think he would get this big, but he's like up to my hip and probably weighs 100 pounds or so. 11-week old micro golden doodle. That's a good mix. I had a golden retriever um, for a long time. They're really good dogs. Very chill. Very chill. Yeah, I'll post some pictures of the dogs over on Twitter. If you don't follow me on Twitter, the Twitter link is up here in the top of the video feed. Labrador retrievers, like my girlfriend in high school had a Labrador retriever, and that dog was crazy. Like too high energy for me. Um, yeah, the no shed thing is nice. We had a Siberian Husky uh before, and he would like it's just tumbleweeds of hair in shedding season. Um and yeah, the only dog that we have that sheds now is our mixed breed, and she doesn't shed very much. She's like a short-haired dog, so the shedding's not too bad. Um but yeah, I I like no shed dogs just because they're easier to maintain and it's easier to maintain your house. Um and but I don't have any allergies or anything. Pugs are fun. They only shed once constantly. Yeah. So it's funny like so we've had several dogs over the years, and our our husky passed away a little bit more than a year ago. Maybe a year and a half ago. We had to put him to sleep for health problems. And I we were like, we're not getting any more dogs. Not getting any more dogs. We're just we're just going with what we've got. And then, 6 months later, I'm like, oh, let's get more dogs. So, which I mean, I love the new dog. He's still doing puppy things like chewing my slippers and shoes and everything like that. Um, and he's going to be a very good dog when he chills out. Um, but having a young dog in the house is stressful. So your pit bull sleeps where your daughter sits. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I our mixed breed is a rescue. Um, and it's and we've had many rescue dogs over the years. And some like the other two that we have, we bought as like purebreds, which is expensive and stupid. But um, one thing that I've found with mixed breed dogs or with rescue dogs that can be kind of stressful is you don't really know what happened with the previous owner of the dog. And so like we had a dog that we rescued when we lived in New York, and she there were a lot of Latinos in our neighborhood, and she would lunge at Latino people as we were walking her down the street. There's clearly some kind of trauma uh, associated there, and like our other dog, our mixed breed dog, she has like anxiety through the roof for no reason. We got her when she was a tiny puppy, but she has anxiety like for no reason. Um, Dachshunds are great dogs. It wasn't a racist dog. She just she'd had some sort of bad experience. I don't know. I don't know. I always felt bad. I mean, I didn't. She was just such a sweet dog in all other ways, but she had that one thing. And also, like, she was not a husky, but she had husky coloration. And one thing that I've noticed is that, and this was the same with the husky that we had that passed away a while back. Huskies are scary to a lot of people. Um, and our dog was sweet, but I think a lot of people grow up around dogs that are, if they grow up around dogs that are trained to be violent, if they grow up around dogs that, you know, if they grow up around dogs that or in environments where um, dogs are not typical pets, I guess. Like people get scared. I had so many people like um I had so many people just like back away scared of the husky because it looked like a wolf. So I don't know. And I would stop and I would talk to them. Usually they were kids or whatever, and I'd be like, "No, she's a very nice dog. You just, hold your hand out, let her smell you, and then she'll be fine." But yeah, it's always interesting to see the way people interact with pets. I mean, I know that we have a really odd relationship with our pets. We have those three dogs and a cat. And I used to be a cat person. The first pet I ever went out and got for myself was a cat. But over the years I've become more a dog person. We used to have three cats and a dog. Now we have three dogs and a cat. So the cat's my daughter's. I've heard that half breed wolf husky mixes or whatever, like sometimes they can be a handful to take care of because there's the wolf in them sort of makes them not necessarily as easy to domesticate. I don't know if that's true. That's just what I've heard. Cats are evil. Um, I cannot confirm or deny that cats are evil. Um, I always like cats, but over the years, dogs are they're more personable. They want to be around you. They want to like sit with you on the couch, which can be annoying sometimes, but also very nice when you're not in when you're in the right mood. Yeah, we've had a run recently of is our golden retriever was older and he had three legs I think he was born. We did rescue him. Uh, he was born with 3 legs, and so like when he started to his health started to decline, like basically he couldn't uh, get up and move around. We'd have to carry him outside. We'd have to carry him to food. So at that point, it was time to let him go, and that was hard. And then we had a puppy that just had a very sudden illness. He was like throwing up everywhere, and it was on it was just a Saturday afternoon. He started throwing up, kept throwing up. We took him to the emergency vet, uh, and they gave him fluids and blah 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 and all the stuff that they could do. But ended up he just kept going, getting worse, and they ultimately suggested that it was better. His outcomes weren't looking great, so it might be better to put him to sleep. Which that dog was like 5 or 6 months old. That was incredibly traumatizing, both for my kids and for my wife and I. Just a terrible thing. It happened in the span of like 6 or 8 hours. Um, yeah, it's. I mean, I think that when you have to put a pet to sleep, it is really difficult. Um, at the same time, like my daughter loves animals. She wants to be a vet, and she's gonna volunteer in the animal shelter and volunteer at the local pet store and all that kind of stuff. I think it's good to be exposed at a young age to those kinds of things. Um, Not good in like a I'm so glad that happened, but good in the way that you start to build and understand the cycle of life a little bit more. Um, I tell you what though, parents out there of young kids, if you want them to learn about death, just get them a hamster. A hamster will die. and and then you'll have a little box and you'll bury it in the backyard. Hamsters are impossible. They're made to die. Um, yeah, Bob, I'm sure when you live for many many years with a pet in your home and you become attached to them, it's incredibly difficult to to go through that. But you have to make the choice. Um, with animals, they can suffer for a long time before they would die a natural death, and that's even more difficult to watch. So I replaced my Airedale Terrier and later found out that he was mistreated by the new owner. Yeah, yeah, that's something that I've always worried about too. Like we've never given up any of our pets, but always worried. Like for a while there, we weren't sure if we could live with the husky. He was just like off the chain crazy dog. Um, but we ended up keeping him. That it's sad, but I remember reading that there was a big boom in husky sales during during the run of Game of Thrones. And so like people would be like, "Oh, the dire wolves are so cool and husky looks like a dire wolf, so I'm going to get a husky," not knowing that huskies can be incredibly difficult to deal with. Just the first year or two of a husky's life is they're going to try and get out of everything. They're going to they're gonna try and escape. They're just crazy dogs. And one time, my husky actually pulled out of his collar when I was getting ready to cross like a 4-lane highway. Pulled out of his collar and just started running up the middle of the highway, just running straight up in the middle of the road. And I was just like, oh my God. And of course he wouldn't come to me. So I'm just running around on this highway trying to get the dog to at least get over to the side of the road. And the only way that problem was solved was somebody on a motorcycle came back and like pulled over into a side street and like called my dog over, and the dog went to this person and they kind of held him there until I came across the street. And they were like, yeah, I saw what was going on. I have huskies, or had huskies, and so I figured I could help you out. So that was very cool. That was very cool that somebody, took the time to turn their bike around and come back down the road and try and help me not lose my dog. Okay, back to tech. Am I going to get the S20 Ultra, or am I going to skip it? Man, that's a tough question, because I don't really want the S20 Ultra. And this is where like doing the tech thing on YouTube or anywhere else is kind of difficult. Like, I don't really want to buy it for myself, but I definitely need to cover it for the channel. Samsung's not going to give me one. So I guess I'm probably going to have to get it. Will I keep it? I don't know. And I can't see the point of getting the S20 or any of the other lower end models. I don't know that. I think people are more interested in the bigger models. The fancier, more expensive things. At least that's what it seems like to me. Do an S20 versus iPhone SE2, 9 SE2 showdown. Yeah, I would love to do that. I mean, if they do right with the SE2, I don't know if they do right with the SE2, that could be that's in the running for like phone of the year. Will it have all the best features? No. But will it have like will it be the best bang for the buck for the most people? Yeah, I think so. Tech Love and Mama, yeah, maybe you're right. I haven't been returning as many things to Best Buy, so I'm not in danger of getting banned at this point. When I got banned from returning things at Best Buy before, it was a weird series of events where I bought, I think it was 3 or 4 laptops in a row, and each of the first 3 had some kind of problem. So I took them back. And then like when I bought the 4th one, they're like, sign this, you're banned for however long it was. It's yeah, so it was a dark time. But it didn't stop me from returning things, because I just bought things on my wife's account and returned things there. But I haven't been to Best Buy. I've been to Best Buy one time for just a few minutes since the holidays. That's like a big deal for me. Amazon returns are really impressive. Like, a lot of times they might not do this as much now, but if you return an Amazon item and you drop it off, like, so I can drop Amazon stuff off at the UPS store that's close to me. They would, as soon as it was scanned in, they would credit the money back to the account. Now, the last couple of times I returned stuff to Amazon, I had to wait until they actually received it. So I I don't know. One thing I like that idea of doing a random tech thing from Best Buy. Right now, because I'm doing those Amazon streams, like so I'm getting money from Amazon, and I could just as easily do like random thing from Amazon, you know? Maybe I could have some I could put it together so people could make a list of stuff that they would want me to try. Um and then, get stuff off of that list. Matt, you might um yeah, Paul, I agree, and that's what I tried to explain to them, but the catch 22 with Best Buy is they have a separate company that they contract out to who does this service for them of like who's returning too much, et cetera, et cetera. And then so they can say, well, we don't have anything, we don't have anything to do with it. So you have to call this company. And so when I called that company, they were like, I was like, this is a certain situation. It had stuff that was defective. Can I can I speak to someone? They were like, there's no one to speak to. I was like, do you have a manager or anything? Uh, yeah. He was like, well, yeah, we have a manager, but there's no point. Nobody's going to change anything. So I called Best Buy back and was like, they won't they won't even talk to me. And they were like, sorry about that. We can't do anything. And I was banned for I think I was banned for a year. I don't think there's a photo of me in Best Buy. The problem is, like, most of the people who work at Best Buy know who I am. So so I mean, so there's a new manager at Best Buy now, but the manager that was there before this, I was standing in line to return something, and all of a sudden I see manager guy coming over to me in the return line, and I thought, oh my god, here we go again. But he was a fan of the channel, and and he was like, love your stuff, man, thanks for coming in, blah blah blah. And I was just like, wait a minute, this is too weird. People at Best Buy are being weird to me. um but yeah, and I've been recognized by people who have sold me stuff in Best Buy, um and recognized by people in general at Best Buy. So as the channel's gotten bigger, it's been more difficult to be anonymous when going into Best Buy. So I don't know, but the weird thing is, like, after you get to a certain point at buying things at Best Buy, like, once you buy one of the most expensive TVs, once you buy like the yeah, I guess I should use the hoodie. But then they'd think I was just there to steal things. Uh, once you get into that, like, the upper echelons of the stuff to buy at Best Buy, then there's like nothing else to buy. They don't have high end audio. I mean, I bought the Klipsch speakers that they sell at Best Buy, which are fantastic. Um, and they're expensive enough. I mean, for sure, uh but like if I wanted to get something more on the hi-fi end, I'd have to find a Best Buy that was Magnolia. Closest Magnolia Best Buy is like 2.5 hours away. So um yeah. I don't know how easily I could disguise myself. Like, the red glasses now are difficult to hide. And I got the red glasses because our puppy ate 2 pairs of my glasses. So I don't have any backup glasses. So this is like all I got. I guess I could wear my sunglasses, but then that would be weird. I'd be inside wearing sunglasses, have my hoodie up. They'd be like, what's going on with this guy? So yeah, Huawei has decided to go to not use Google. I don't know anything about the system that they will be using, but yeah, Huawei has announced that they will not use Google services, even if Google lets them back in. I think it's a smart play on their part because I mean, unless they can't sell any phones because it doesn't have Google. I think it's a smart play on their part because this was probably incredibly disruptive to their bottom line. And when a government can just say like, you know, you can't sell your phones over here, and then the repercussions of that can be like vendors that you rely on can then like pull their products from your products. I mean, it's probably better to have your own stuff available. Why did I decide to sell the iPhone? I do love it. It is a great phone. The only reason I decided to sell it right now is because new phone season is coming up, and I'm just trying to like amass a little stockpile of money. I don't want to have to take other money to pay for phones if I can sort of turn around and get phones with the money that I have from phones. So I just wanted to sort of free up that money. I'm sorely tempted to get a Note 10 again though. Which, I mean, for as much hassle as I gave that phone, seems ridiculous. But I do love the Note phones. I think it's still too expensive, but yeah, I know there's going to be a new iPhone that I'll have to grab in a month or so, and then the Samsung phones will be out in a month or so, and these are all things that I have to get, and I don't want to have to put them on my plan. I don't want to have to put them. I've got like 9 phone lines on my plan or something ridiculous. And I'm almost to the point where the stuff that I put on there, I can pay off and not have so many phone lines. So I don't want to like finance more phones. So if I can buy them outright and then either return them or sell them if I don't want to keep them, that's probably the best way forward. But the thing is, like, I would love to be able to keep all the phones. I'd love to be able to keep all the phones. I'd love to have an S10 to compare to the Note 10 to compare to the iPhone 11 to compare to the iPhone 11 Pro or whatever. But I just don't have the resources at this point. I mean, the channels, doing this full time they are tax write-offs. Yeah. But doing this full time really, I mean, it's not a safe and secure bet. You're not getting your paycheck every month, and it's not the same paycheck every month, and you got some good months and some not so good months. And I think until I get like a year or more under my belt as a full-time YouTuber, and I get things totally working under that umbrella, that's when I'll be a little bit more stable and be able to do stuff like that. But right now I just can't. I mean, the S20, the S20 Ultra, it's I want to get it, but $1,300 is so ridiculous. So ridiculous. So Michael loves his Note 10 Plus, 90 hertz OnePlus 7T. Yeah. See, I don't not believe you. I've just never seen like a big difference to me, like when going from one to the other. So yeah, I think you're right, Paul. I mean, unfortunately, the options for music friendly phones are are dwindling. At least music-friendly phones that have headphone jacks. And to be quite honest, while Android has come a long way in terms of being better for, and especially like the V series, being better for audio creation and that kind of thing, the iPhones and iPads are still like leagues ahead in terms of that. Alan, yes, I would like for Google to stop making Pixel like flagships, because it's clear they don't have enough to it's clear they don't have enough interest to do it right. At this point, they're 4 phones in, and they just keep, like, this last phone, they just cut stuff out and went short on things, the battery, all that kind of stuff. So I would love to see Google just focus on a mid-range phone. The Pixel A line is a great value. I mean, you get a lot of phone, and you get a lot of phone with the Pixel 3a, 3a XL, and the same when the 4a and 4a XL come out. And I think, that's what people loved about the Nexus line, is that it was a clean version of Android on a device that was not really expensive. Like I remember the Nexus 6, I think it was the Nexus. I don't remember the last Nexus phone that was made by Huawei. I'm pretty sure. I love that phone. I mean, I have friends who used that phone to the point where the battery died. It didn't have like a really great record of like longevity, but it was a very nice phone. Black Code, yeah, I don't blame you for keeping those phones. There's not really any great reason to upgrade phones every year. I mean, most of it's a want to, not a need to. So, yeah, I don't. Those 2 phones that you've got. I mean, man, those phones are gonna be good for you for 2022 and beyond, most likely. But yeah, like if graphene batteries become a thing and battery life improves significantly, then that might be time to upgrade, because that's a very good thing. But until that time, I mean, the iPhone took a huge step forward in battery life this year. I'm curious to see how Samsung and other companies react to that increase in battery life. I know the Samsung's putting bigger batteries in their phones that like 5,000 milliamp hours in the S20 Ultra, but I don't know if that's going to be as significant a boost in battery life compared to what you get with the iPhone 11 Pro or Pro Max. Like the Pro Max versions, like the Pro versions or the Plus versions of those phones could get you through 2 days before they gave us a bigger battery. I only have the Pro, not the Plus or Max or whatever it's called. And the iPhone 11 Pro gets me through at least a day and a half without having to charge. Hopefully Apple doesn't give it back with 120 hertz and 5G. Yeah, I'm curious to see when Apple brings both of those things to their phones. I mean, I think the conventional wisdom right now is that it will be next year. I'm excited about the iPhone 12 if it looks like some of the renders and some of the leaks that we've heard, that it's going to be sort of more squared off and harken back to the iPhone 5S design, SE design, or somewhere like in the vicinity of like where the iPad Pros are right now. I would really, really like that. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. If they're boring, I'll be upset. I think somebody else said that in the chat earlier. Your iPhone 11 Pro Max has never been under 50%. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me. I mean, you drop it on a wireless charger at night, you're never gonna get past 50%. 2019 was the first year I've gotten an Android phone that will be able to keep for Note 10 Plus. Yeah. Battery life has always been one of the Achilles heels of Android phones. And last year was the first year that a lot of Android phones got better battery life out of their phones. I mean, the battery life on this V50 is still really good. Yeah, this is like a day and a half phone for me, which I haven't had very many day and a half phones in the Android space. Yeah, the Galaxy phones, like they are, with the fast charge and with the larger capacity. Yeah, it's a more compelling argument. Do we need a third OS to make things interesting? I don't know. I mean, I think that like in terms of software, we are where we are, and I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. I think the next real like sort of paradigm shift, sea change moment for phone technology is going to be when it's no longer this form factor, and not folding phones. I don't mean folding phones, because folding phones are just sort of a step backward right now. But when that folding technology catches up with, or when technology catches up with the folding technology to where we can have just like a translucent, thin little something, I think that's what's going to be the next big change in smartphones. I'll have to check out that Linux stuff. Yeah. Yeah. If you heard the podcast last week, earlier this week, you'll know that I'm not the biggest. I'm not the biggest fan of the folding phones. I need to have it like a showdown video with Michael Fisher, because he loves the folding phones. Well, Note 4 Edge for 5 years. That's cool. I like those Note Edge phones. Tech Love and Mama, have a good day yourself. And we're past 2 hours at this point. I think it's time to shut it down so I can actually make a video today and and do all that stuff. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for sticking around. Draftsman Parker, I think the iPhone X10R is really good. It's a good value, and it's a really good phone. So you're not gonna suffer. But yeah, thanks guys. Really appreciate it. My silver Tibetan beard. Okay. Never thought of it that way, but I'll take it. Anyway, once again, thank you for being here. You know, I'm Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. This has been a Painfully Honest Tech Friday morning coffee. I've been out of coffee for a while, so now I need to go get more coffee and to make a video. Stay tuned later on today for that to come out. And until the next time, or until that video shows up, I'm out.